And of course, like you were talking about the interpretations of the character. Something that
Yes.
tends to happen a lot is that whether it's that's the intention or just a way of building like a new a lot of authors tend to basically call this a self-insert,
Right.
making
Yeah,
instead of
self-insert.
the usual MZ is basically them in the
Yeah.
DDLC.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, like what do you think? What do you think about like
what do I
that?
think of self-inserts?
Yeah,
It's tricky. Because I think it has the potential to be well done, but you have to be very, I guess, self-conscious because you don't want to end up writing a Mary Sue.
right.
Like you don't want this like, oh, I'm this perfect like person who saves everyone. Like if you want to do a self-insert, like that's fine, but I guess you need to. It feels ironic to say that it has to be realistic because, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah,
Like,
of course. Like it's
it,
not just making a character that can, because that's usually like the premise of those stories. And I'm not saying that having that is wrong. Like it's of
yeah,
course
that's not inherently a bad thing, but you have to be very careful about how you do it because, you don't want it to just come off as like, oh, like everyone's having these problems because I wasn't there.
right. Exactly. Like of course, an interesting character also has flaws.
Right, yeah, like if you're this perfect, like if you're like Monica's half sister who's also sentient, who can also like transfer everyone from the game to the real world, who also like has telekinesis and knows 5 languages, like then yeah, you like story is driven off of conflict. Like your characters need to have flaws. Like if you just have these perfect characters, and I guess that also goes not even just towards self-inserts, but also towards interpretation of the characters.
Right.
Like if all their issues just immediately get resolved, then there's no conflict, there's no story.
Yeah. Then the story ends.
Yeah, like the story ends when. I mean, the story doesn't necessarily have to end if there's still conflict, but conflict drives the story. So yeah, if you do write a self-insert, I think that's fine because the canon MC is almost a blank slate on purpose, I believe.
Yeah. Of course, you're supposed to project on him.
Yeah, it's like any visual novel protagonist, like you're meant to kind of go into their shoes. So I think on one hand, I think it can work because that's kind of the intent of the story. But on the other hand, you want to be very careful with how you write it.